might think your minty mouthwash burns a little, but the ancient Romans had a much worse way to freshen their breath. They believed that the ammonia found in human pee was the perfect chemical to whiten their teeth and prevent decay. It became such a massive trend that they actually imported barrels of urine from Portugal, because they thought it was stronger and more effective. Imagine waking up in the morning and gargling a cup of stale stranger pee before kissing your spouse. It technically worked to clean stains, but the smell must have been absolutely horrific. Wealthy Romans walked around with bright white smiles and the worst breath in history. Advertisements everywhere convinced ladies to use Lysol as a feminine douche to kill germs and keep their husbands happy. This was the exact same toxic chemical used to scrub factory floors and kill bugs, but nobody seemed to care. Women were literally pouring caustic poison into their most sensitive areas, causing severe burns and poisoning. It remains one of the most dangerous marketing scams in history. The company eventually stopped suggesting it for bodies, but for decades, women suffered in silence just to follow a terrible hygiene trend. Before soft paper was invented, the most common wiping tool sitting next to the toilet was a basket of dried red corn cobs. You would pick up a hard, scratchy vegetable skeleton and scrape yourself clean after using the bathroom. It was rough and painful, but it was free and plentiful on every farm. If you were really lucky, you might get a soft handful of moss, but usually you were stuck with the cob. It gives a whole new meaning to the phrase, roughing it. The River Thames was basically a giant open sewer where millions of people dumped their toilet buckets every day. The heat wave that year cooked the filth until the stench was so powerful it physically sickened people miles away. It got so bad that the British Parliament had to soak their curtains in chloride just to breathe during meetings. They eventually fled the building because no amount of perfume could hide the smell of a city drowning in its own poop. It forced them to finally build sewers. We complain about doing laundry, but at least we do not have to stomp around in buckets of pee. The process of cleaning wool cloth was called fulling, and the best cleaning agent available was stale human urine. Workers called fullers would spend their entire day marching in vats of pee to scrub the grease from the fabric. The ammonia in the urine broke down the dirt and made the cloth soft and white. These poor workers went home every night smelling like a public toilet. It was a miserable job that literally required standing ankle-deep in human waste all day. If you have a migraine today, you take an aspirin, but ancient doctors grabbed a drill. Trepanation is the oldest surgery in history and involves scraping a hole directly into a living patient's skull. They believed that headaches and mental illness were caused by evil spirits trapped inside the head. The only way to cure it was to open a window in the bone to let the demons fly out. The most shocking part is that many patients actually survived this brutal carpentry. Archaeologists have found skulls with healed holes, proving people walked around with a breeze blowing through their brains. City life before indoor plumbing was a game of Russian roulette with human waste. If you walked down the street in a busy city, you had to constantly look up to avoid a dirty surprise. People would fill their chamber pots during the night and simply toss the contents out the bedroom window in the morning. They would shout a quick warning, but if you were not fast enough, you got a shower of sludge. It turned the streets into open sewers and made owning an umbrella a survival necessity. You were literally dodging flying poop just to get to the bakery. Doctors are supposed to be smart, but in the 1840s they were incredibly stubborn. A physician named Ignaz Semmelweis noticed that women were dying because doctors went straight from autopsies to delivering babies. He suggested the radical idea that washing hands with chlorine might save lives. Instead of thanking him, the medical community was deeply offended by the suggestion that they were dirty. They mocked him relentlessly and refused to scrub up out of pure pride. Thousands of women died of fever simply because arrogant doctors thought their hands were too gentlemanly to carry germs. Freak out if someone uses our toothbrush by accident, but travelers used to share them on purpose. In some 19th century American inns, hygiene was a community effort. You would walk to the wash basin and find a single toothbrush hanging on a string for every guest to use. Hundreds of strangers with rotting teeth and gum disease scrubbed their mouths with that same bristly stick. It was a bacterial nightmare that spread infections faster than a handshake. The idea of putting a public brush in your mouth today is enough to make anyone gag instantly.